Welcome to L22 Sports Daily. I'm Dames Marvs for Ben Shrewsbury, who can't be with us today. So I don't know if we're going to go the full half hour, but I can tell you this, the clock starts now. All right. Um, Not a lot in sports today, but we do have some sad news I want to report before, especially ahead of tomorrow's opening day World Series game in Los Angeles. Um, it- we were waiting for an appropriate time. We didn't put this on the slate yesterday. It was there, but we moved it just to get it closer to the World Series game. And since it's a slow sports day, we were going to do it today. Former Dodgers pitcher Fernando Valenzuela, Fernando Mania, has passed away. Now, Fernando played for six different teams over 17 seasons in his career. He was originally called up by the Dodgers in 1980 as a reliever. That year, he won Rookie of the Year, as well as Cy Young Award for them. He's a Major League Baseball legend. He was only 63 years old. And tonight, we celebrate his life, his legacy, and Fernando Mania. Sorry to report that, but that is especially like I said, ahead of the Dodgers back in the World Series. He will be honored during the World Series at Dodger Stadium. Tonight, we've got the NFL, it's Thursday Night Football. Remember, we got Minnesota going to take on the LA Rams. We've talked about this game a little bit. I think it's going to be closer than people think. I've still got Minnesota winning and upping their record to 6-1. The Rams faltering to a point where they may start selling off some pieces, folks. It's quite clear that they're not going to make the playoffs this year. So with that in mind, they may be. I heard Cooper Cup is on the trade block. I don't think you're going to see people like Puka Nakua moved. However, I would not at all be surprised if Matthew Stafford was on the list. Um, there's a lot of places he could go right now. Quite frankly, you think about the fact that there's so many people that are talented in football, but there are only 32 starting quarterback positions in the NFL. And even knowing that there are only 32, the degree of excellence ranges from poor to exceptional. And I'm not saying it's a hard position to play. It's perhaps the hardest position in sports to play. But just knowing there's only 32 individuals that are able, or not able, but allowed with the teams, there's only 32 teams. So each one needs a starting quarterback. I just think it's so crazy to me that the discrepancy between the bottom tier quarterbacks and the top tier quarterbacks is so great. We were gonna play a game called KBC tonight with Ben, but he can't be here, so we'll save that for another time. KBC, of course, stands for keep, bench, cut. And we were going to do that with some NFL players. You keep one, you bench one, and you cut the other. And they were all players from the same position. So that will be a fun game. The only other thing in the NFL is I don't it's going to affect very few people, but Tom Brady is now a broadcaster. I've never I've never really focused in on one of his games because I've got all of them going on at once. For me, Tom Brady's crew will actually be calling the Seattle game versus the Bills. That will be a first for me to hear. Um, the reviews aren't good. Reviews on Tom Brady's broadcasts are not good. Um, Now, what that means, I can't wait to see and report back for myself because the same thing was said of Tony Romo broadcasts, and I actually I find Tony Romo's broadcasts a breath of fresh air. But let's be honest, folks. No matter who it is, I still hear people, you know, bitching about Joe Buck, and I'm like, or these guys that have done it forever and ever and ever, and like are absolute legends at it. Um, so I don't think it matters, like really. It's just personal opinion, and that's all it will ever be. I don't really have a problem with anyone. A lot of people hate Chris Collinsworth. I I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. Um, I can't think of one that I do hate, actually. I think a lot of hate comes from bias. Like a lot of people don't like Troy Aikman because they think he's a Cowboys homer. Um, I really don't. I've not really understood that, but I get it if people feel that way, but I don't personally see it. Anyway, that's it for the NFL. That's it for the NFL news today. We'll talk about that game tomorrow. I do want to mention that there is not going to be a show on Monday. I'll be out of town. I will talk with Ben and see if he wants to do one, and I may be able to edit it late, so it will go up later than normal on Monday, but we will not be together on Monday for that. So I apologize in advance. If there's something else I could put up, I'll find it, but I don't know what that would be at this point. All right, on to college football week 9. There's a lot of really good football to be seen this weekend. And it starts, well, it's already started. There's been a couple games trickling throughout the week, nothing of major importance. Um, Saturday is when it's all going to go down. And we've got Nebraska at Ohio State. If you look at them getting beat 56-7 by Indiana, what can Ohio State possibly do to them? Do we get 70? Is there going to be an 80-point game on Nebraska? Their defense isn't good, folks. And their quarterback, Dylan Raiola, he might be the future of the team, but he's only a freshman. So he's supposed to be the next Patrick Mahomes. He does look like him, but not in play so far. Um, then you got Notre Dame at Navy. This is a big game. Both these teams are ranked. Navy is having a really, really good year. Then you have a laugher, and I'm only bringing it up because it's my team. Um, and I'm honestly just hoping that we don't get beat by them as bad as Nebraska did. And that's Washington at Bloomington, Indiana. Not well, I am looking forward to it. I like playing challenging teams just to see how my team stands up, but I do not have high hopes for this game. Washington and Indiana again Saturday. After that, you've got Illinois going all the way across the country to play the Oregon Ducks in Eugene. That's a hot ticket right now. Eugene, Oregon is going to be a tough place to play for anybody that's got to go there for years to come. Um, Outstanding facilities. Uh, their program never seems to be lacking. Even when they lose players and pieces to the draft, as did Washington. I mean, look at them. Oregon is currently are the best team in the country, and it's up to someone else to say otherwise. So that's going to be an exciting game. I've got Alabama on upset alert again with Missouri coming to town, and I'm not joking. This Alabama team has got some chinks in the armor, if you will, and I don't think you're going to be able to exploit Alabama down the road as easily as you're going to be able to do this season. I think they solidify in DeBoer's second year and so on and so forth. You got a lot of kids in the country that have seen that team just rise up and dominate through the years, and that's where they want to go. That's where a lot of kids, especially in the South. So yeah, big game there. Then you got Northwestern at Iowa. nothing fancy, but a lot of people that follow Iowa or may watch this program. And well, quite honestly, Kirk Ferentz being the most tenured coach in college football, that makes them a watch for me all the time. I love that story. Um, I love being mad at him. I love throwing things at the TV when he refuses to make adjustments. And I often wonder, how is he the longest tenured coach after Hayden Fry? How did that happen? Anyway, um, then you got Texas at Vanderbilt. Remember, this Vanderbilt team had Alabama on upset watch, and then Texas lost to Georgia. So, do I think this is another upset watch? Absolutely not. And to be quite honest with you, I would not have bet on Georgia if I had a lot of money to bet. I would not have bet on Georgia winning that game last week. But that's why you play the games, because you never know until until they're over. So, yeah. And the last one I have to talk about is LSU at Texas A&M. These are not two teams that I frequently watch, so I may try and check this game out just to try and stay on top of things, but um both teams are ranked, I believe, and it should be a good matchup in Texas. All right. As we all know, earlier this week, the NBA kicked off, tipped off, whatever you want to call it. I shouldn't say kicked off. That's a football term. Dummy. They tipped off on Tuesday night with two games, and then they had a larger slate of games last night. Um, talk about a few of them. We had the Bucks Sixers, no Embiid for the Sixers. And honestly, I watched a lot of Milwaukee Bucks last year because I had a vested interest in their superstar Damian Lillard, which they acquired from the Portland Trailblazers as a centerpiece to go with Giannis Antetokounmpo. And you would think that a pairing like that would result in championship after championship after championship, because it's not like they don't have anybody else in that building besides those two. But they never could quite put it together last year. It looked odd from the very first game, which you would expect. But even as the season progressed, they both kind of took off with injuries, and they're like, we don't really have the chemistry. And Doc Rivers, God bless him, he can only do so much. And maybe he wasn't the guy to try and to bridge that understanding. However, last night you had 25 from Antetokounmpo and you had 30 from Lillard, including 15 in the third quarter, which really put the Bucks in a great position to win, which they did, 124 to 109. The Magic bested the Heat in the Battle of Florida. Um, that one I didn't expect to be, a double digit victory, but it was. And then you had Suns and Clippers. This was a great game that went into overtime, and the Suns prevail by 3, 116, 113. And then you have a laugher, an absolute freaking laugher. I wait all off season. I watch the draft. I watch us make stupid trade after stupid trade, and I say us being for the Portland Trailblazers. And I know that we're, for the second year in a row, the youngest team in the NBA. Youth doesn't have to mean that you're bad, all right? But in this case, it certainly looks that way. The Golden State Warriors came to Portland for their home opener, and Portland just fell. Oh, well, let me tell you the score. They lost by 30 points. It was 139 to 109. Now, did the team look lethargic? Here's what they just look like. They look like a JV team, if I'm being honest with you. Some big guys, some bright stars, up and comers, and they just couldn't get the shots to fall. They they were not good on defense, which is something that has been a focal point for them since Chauncey Billups took over the head coaching. But honestly, I watched the whole game and I was just like nothing. It didn't even seem like they were capable of making a surge at any point. They just went down and they kept going down. It was really, really quite sad to watch. All right. That's it for the games from last night. We got some games tonight, which are exciting. Celtics at Wizards. That's a fun game. I look for the Celtics to continue to roll. I don't think I don't I mean, we'll tell you when there's somebody that I think can stop them. The game that I'm gonna have on my TV tonight is I'm gonna be watching Victor Wembanyama with the Spurs and their new draft pick. They got another guy from France. They're playing Dallas, and in my mind, some of the best players in the game are going to be playing in that game. Luka Doncic is amazing. Um, so I'll be watching that game along with a couple other screens going for Thursday night football and something I'll get to in a little bit. And then you got the Thunder from Oklahoma City going into Denver playing the Nuggets. That's an intriguing game as well. Uh, Early on, but it does have West Coast um, implications. And then you got the Wolves at the Kings. Wolves continuing their tour of California. Maybe they can play a little bit better than they did last night when they lost to the opening night when they lost to the Lakers. Okay, that's it for the NBA. We're a little over a halfway point. NHL hockey last night, we had the Flyers at the Caps as the only game. And the Caps doubled them up 6-3. So Philly's got some inward searching to do. And the Capitals just need to keep on doing what they're doing. Wild at Lightning is most likely going to be over tonight. By the time this airs, I don't have a score because, well, the game's happening right now. Then you got Colorado going tonight against the Utah Hockey Club. This is another one that I'd like to have on one of my screens, but unfortunately, I don't want to bog down too many screens and make it so small that I can't even see it. I'll be watching Winnipeg at Seattle. The Kraken are just so much fun to watch. And quite frankly, I still have a bad taste in my mouth from Tuesday when we lost to Colorado. Yeah, that was not fun at all for me. All right. That's really all I've got for sports today. I am really looking forward to game one of the World Series with the Dodgers. Tomorrow's a great sports night. Um, and what really sucks is I won't be able to talk to you guys about it until Tuesday. So keep in mind we're going to be doing the show tomorrow and then back on Tuesday as there's no show on Monday. Appreciate you guys for tuning in today. Apologize for the absence of my partner, but we got to get it done regardless. I don't like missing shows in the first week. So that's what we got. Thanks for watching. Tune in. Keep tuning in. Check us out on TikTok. NFL's up right now too. So if you still got plenty of time to check out our NFL predictions, some news, we got some hot takes on Russell Wilson and some real hot takes on Deshaun Watson, the Cleveland fan base and the Cleveland Browns organization. You won't want to miss that one. Sorry we're falling short of half an hour here, but there's plenty and plenty of content to look at. Two Marks and a Spark is up today, the wrestling show on our YouTube channel. And I just want to make you aware that there's also a couple times a week, I try and do it at least 3 times a week, but there's a radio show that's live on TikTok and Twitter X. It goes from 9 a.m. Central Time to whenever my batteries run out. But it's a request show, and I share songs with the people that show up, and the people that show up share songs with me, and I just play what everybody wants to hear. Um, Again, thank you guys for your time, and I'll see you on the flip tomorrow.